Hello, it's 9 p.m. in RTD. It's time to English New Edition. For tonight headlines, we have the first deaths of the COVID-19 in Djibouti. For the international scene, more than 60,000 dead in Europe since the beginning of the pandemic. Welcome to our newsroom. As every day we open these newspapers with the daily briefings of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Health. Dr. Saleh Benoita Turab has made a statement on the evolutions of COVID-19 in our country. On Thursday, 9 April 2020, the results of COVID-19 are as follows. 293 tests performed, 5 COVID positive cases, 130 people remain under surveillance at the quarantine center, 110 people currently under treatment in the 2 treatment centers, 3 people healed today. In total, 3,399 tests are performed, 140 COVID positive cases, 28 patients held, 1 case of death. The percentage of the positive persons out of the total numbers of tests carried out is 4.11%. The containment measures seem to be bearing fruit, but it is still too early to relax our efforts. That's why we are asking the population to comply with the barrier measures and to help us to bring the epidemic under control and to sustainably inflect the pandemic curves in our country. Stay at home. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, held a meeting on Thursday morning, April 9, in the presence of the Minister of Health, Mohammed Warsama Diriye, the Minister of Communication, Radwan Abdullahi Bahdon, and the Doctors of Scientific Committee in charge of enlightening political leaders for decision-making during the management of this epidemic. Through this meeting, the Prime Minister wished to inquire directly from the specialists about the situation on the ground and the progress of the health response activity. He paid tribute at land, the work carried out, and the effort made for more than 3 weeks now to limit the spread of the COVID-19 epidemic in our country. The Prime Minister, His Excellency Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, he expressed the support of all and the nation's gratitude for their effort in the fight against the virus. For their part, the doctors thanked the authorities for the urgent measures that were quickly adopted, stressing in particular that the containment and the implementation of a diagnostic systems made it possible to significantly the spread of the virus. Indeed, what makes our country special is that the Djiboutian government took preventive measures as soon as the pandemic was declared, such as confining populations despite the major constraint that this may have caused on the socio-economic level, on the early and systematic screening of the populations from countries at risk, even in the absence of the symptom, which made it possible to detect people carrying the virus and thus treat them more quickly. Prime Minister, who chairs the steering committee, reiterated the populations the importance of ensuring the practice of barrier gestures and compliance with the instructions of social distancing and more than particular containment. After closing the scientific subcommittee, the Prime Minister made a statement in his office on the development of the COVID-19 on containment. He praised the effort of the government, first the Chief of the Justice, the President, for the measures taken from the beginning to contain the virus in our country, even before the first cases was announced. The Prime Minister spoke about the social consequences of confinement and especially for the laborers and the informal sectors. He praised the effort of public and the private institutions in supporting the fight against COVID-19 and paid tribute. As part of the consultation carried out by the Economic, Budget and Social Committee, the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurship hosted the final consultation meeting with the port community, including freight forwarders, stevedoring and shipping agencies to take stock of the impact that the current COVID-19 pandemic has caused in this sector. The first items on the agenda was the problem encountered by these sectors during this pandemic. The objective of this meeting was to set up a platform for discussions and consultation in order to identify solutions that could be considered in the decision-making process of the steering committee set up by the President of the Republic, Ismail Omar Guelleh. In his opening remarks, the Minister of Economy and Finance, Ilyas Musa Dawale, had added that it was crucial to work closely together to overcome this unprecedented crisis. This morning, Logistics Committee approving the project held its third meeting chaired by Budget Minister Abdul Karim Aden Sher. The subcommissions reviewed the distributions of food to the population affected by COVID-19. To date, the mass distribution program has reached nearly 17,000 households in the different districts, UNFD 3,500 households, the tasks of Commission. Moreover, a joint committee meetings of the officials of the Ministry of Budget and Finance took place this morning at the People's Palace. The main objective of this meeting was to discuss the economic impact of COVID-19 in our country. The momentum of national solidarity continues. On these days of March 9, 2020, several state institutions, national entrepreneurs and other individuals have come forward to support the fight against COVID-19 pandemic. Momentum of solidarity in the fight against COVID-19 continues every day. RTD studio welcomes numerous shopkeepers, representatives of public and private institutions, and even private individuals who come to hand over their donations to the authorities concerned. These institutions are for today. ONIAD has 25 million and the staff of the Ministry of Justice 4,800,000. Only at the sanitation department is at work even at this time to the health crisis facing our country. Indeed, in the various steps taken by ONIAD to stop the spread of this pandemic, the sanitation department has undertaken numerous work to close the septic tanks listed at Avenue 26 in order to protect the population. These septic tanks facilitate the creation of a new mosquito breeding ground with the resulting. These operations are also being carried out to fight against the celebrity of beautiful capitals and to protect ONIAD environment. ONIAD is one of the state institutions operating during the period of generalized crisis and is fighting effectively at its level against COVID-19. In his speech, Ainan Musa Muhammad, head of the Networks Department, urged the population not to throw objects into the septic tanks in order not to block the pipes and drainage water evacuation systems. The Islamic ports of Jeddah received before yesterday about 50,000 heads of sheep and camels that were exported via international port of Djibouti. This comes just 1 week after the Saudi Ministry of Environment, War and Agriculture announced its decision to lift the temporary ban on deliveries of animals from Djibouti. A press release from the ministry indicate that the above-mentioned decisions was made in the context of disappearance of the reasons for the temporary ban. These sheep and camels were exported by the regional quarantine centers for livestock export in Djibouti, affiliate to the Abu Yasser International Foundation, is under the supervision of Dr. Muhammad Muhyiddin Al-Hudi, Director General of the Quarantine Center, and Mr. Faris Omar Abdurrahman, in charge of public relations. People who arrived in the countries before the closure of Djibouti International Airport, who recognizes themselves in these pictures, are asked to go to the Jester's hospital as soon as possible to be screened. This is for their own health. It also the citizens' initiative to protect the whole community. For the international scene, coronavirus, more than 60,000 deaths in Europe since the beginning of the epidemic. The new coronavirus pandemic has killed more than 60,000 people in Europe, according to an assessment based on the official sources of Wednesday, with a total of 60,866 deaths out of 700,000 cases. Europe is the continent hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic, which killed 84,000 people. Italy and Spain, with 14,000 people recorded deaths, are the most affected European countries, followed by France and United Kingdom, with thus recorded a record numbers of deaths on Wednesdays, as France will end its 3 days of confinement. The Elysee Palace said on Wednesday's evening that the measures would be extended beyond 15 April. Presidency services added that French President Emmanuel Macron will speak next Monday shortly after 8 p.m. to present his decisions on how to fight the epidemic over the coming weeks. The UK has recorded a record of 900 deaths from the new coronavirus in 24 hours, bringing the total death tolls of the pandemic to more than 7,000, the UK Department of Health said on Wednesday. And this is it for the news. Thanks for watching us.